Today we'll be looking at a technique which arises from the crooked cut section of Meyer's text and is described as shooting through. The full play is actually quite long, but my approach to this, as many others do, is to pull the play apart and find the principles involved so that we can apply them in day-to-day fencing. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the entire technique and then disassemble it. We begin in Zornhut on the right, though we could use any right shoulder position for this. We start to cut an Oberhau, but as we come through, we turn it into a short Krumpau through beneath their blade. From here, we wind deeply, flick around with an Unterhau, step back with a Zwerhau. From here we're going to wind low with our hands, hit with the false edge, and cut away. As I said, there's a lot of things going on here, so let's disassemble it one piece at a time. It all begins with the humble Krumpau. In the normal technique, we spring out to the side and cut over from the opponent's left. Seen from the front, the opponent is cutting down to our upper left opening all the way through the diagonal line. In the standard Krumpau, we spring out to our right, parrying the blade on their inside line, ending up on the left side of the sword from our opponent's point of view. Our entire sword is covering theirs and we're quite safe. But what if we decided to cover behind our opponent's cut to the outside line on the right side of their blade? This is effectively what shooting through is. It's still a kind of Krumpau, but it's cutting short underneath their blade. We begin our Oberhau so they think that we're going to cut against them, but then we cross our hands and shoot through underneath their sword behind the line of their cut, ending on the right side of their sword. Now from the front, as they cut in, we shoot through behind their blade onto the right side from their perspective. Notice I'm not springing out to the side as I would with a normal Krumpau, but coming through on the straight line or even a little to their right. One other thing to note is that there are different hand positions you can use to execute this technique. Regardless of which of these you think is canonically correct, both occur in day-to-day fencing, and when shooting through, both are using the same general principles, so which one you prefer to use in this context depends on your own fencing style. So far I've been using the thumbed grip, so let's take a look at the alternative grip position with the same technique. Fundamentally, the result is the same. The remaining movements may be quite familiar from previous videos, so let's move on to the Dupleren and the cutting around. From our position on the right side of the opponent's schild, we're going to double behind their blade, bringing our hands high to hit them on the left ear. If this entices them to parry, we cut around to the left opening in the classic Meyer square upper right lower left sequence. From the front, we're remaining in the bind on their blade, doubling behind with a high cut to the ear, and as they parry, a low cut to the opening that's revealed. This just leaves us with the final Zwerhau and the cutaway. From our Unterhau, we step backwards with a Zwerhau covering their blade, and then winding low we flick with the false edge to the side of their head and step away with a cut. This final false edge flick is a little like a Blendhau, basically a winding to our lower right and a flick with the blade. As always, building flow gives us a good feel for the blade and lets us move from one position to the other easily, so we should continue our practice until we're smooth and quick in the actions. In a previous video, we looked at a technique with a reverse grip which used something called going through. You may remember it looking something like this. The interesting thing about going through is that it also ends on the right-hand side of the opponent's blade from their perspective, so you can actually use it interchangeably with shooting through depending on your starting position. One simply starts below, the other above. The result, the same. In case it's still not quite clear, you can see the opponent's weapon now, and as I come up through the going through, I end in the same position as I would from shooting through. Finally, as with every technique we've seen so far, a number of variations emerge as we put it into practice. We shoot through and launch into a thrust on the outside line. We shoot through again, this time cutting through the circle to their inside line. And now into a Zwerhau. And of course the classic circle out to their right. In summary, shooting through is a technique we don't see trained that often, but is well worth exploring in your fencing and can lead to some interesting results. And there you have it. Thanks for watching.